Hi, I'm Robin Abrams, the author of None Escape, The Island of Doctor Moreau, and today I'd like to do a little bit of a deep dive on our main characters, Abby Prentiss and Jack Montgomery. So, in the original novella, the protagonist, whose name is Edward Prendick, which is a horrible name, Abigail Prentiss is much, much better, is a bit of an upper-class twit. And when I say that, I don't mean like he doesn't recognize his privilege. I mean like he has almost everything he needs to escape from the island, and he gets distracted by a tin of cookies. That's who Edward Prendick is. But at the same time, every time I've read that book, there's something kind of likable about him because his attitude is very much, for the time period especially, not toxically masculine. He does not behave heroically in this situation, sometimes not even sensibly. But he forgives himself for this because, he wasn't trained for this. He was prepared to, be shipwrecked on an island with, mad scientists and manimals running around. So he's quite self-forgiving. He actually goes to therapy at the end of the book, which is really remarkable. There's a scene toward the end where he tries to build a raft, and he succeeds in building a raft, but he builds it up by the trees and can't get it down to the beach where it needs to be. So, he just sort of cries and takes a nap and tries again. And God knows I relate to that. And that's something that I did want to bring into the character of Prentiss for the play, is that kind of audience surrogate, what would you do? This is just crazy kind of attitude, along with also, in this version, more of a sense that, she is from a very prominent family, more prominent than Prendick in the book, because that's not a name you want to make famous. And I did that in large part because, one, I wanted her to be struggling with the role that she was playing, that she feels like, she's a do-gooder. She feels like she's supposed to be leading, she's supposed to be asking the tough questions, and she can't in this situation. So what does that do to her? And then also to create an immediate connection between her and Montgomery, in that Prentiss's family, who are in this world of the play, Carnegie's or Rockefellers, have a science scholarship, and that's how Montgomery got to medical school. That's how he got to college. Now, in the book, Montgomery is, I think, a very underwritten character. Prendick does not like him. Prendick describes him less flatteringly than he does the beast folk. But I thought this is an interesting potential, like they say in real estate, the bones of it are good. I could do something with this, in that Montgomery is somebody from a disadvantaged background who is very bright, is somewhat idealistic, gets himself to college, gets himself into medical school, and then makes some kind of mistake that just destroys his career forever. And you don't know what it is, but you can pretty well bet that somebody from a different background might have gotten a second chance, but Montgomery doesn't. And so we have these two characters from very, very different backgrounds, and I absolutely love what Trevor and Sarah, our actors, are doing with them, and the commonality that they find in that is Prentiss is from, very old money family. Montgomery was a child evangelist. He's from a minority group. And so they were both raised with a lot of home training, with a lot of, you are representing your people. When you walk into a room, everybody is looking at you. You cannot make us look bad. And they just have this natural, ingrained at this point sense of courtesy and responsibility for the tone in the room. And that's a thing that they recognize in each other, as different as they are. And it creates a kind of kinship. And as I said, I love what Sarah and Trevor are doing. So that's Abby Prentiss and Jack Montgomery. And I hope you can come visit them this weekend at Unity Church. Thanks a lot.